All right, so I'm still working on kind of editing the instruction packet. We're on version 10 right now. Just kind of dynamically going through. I realized somewhere along the line I lost the ability when I changed the format to have my quiz history pop back up. So I'm kind of going through it and changing the structure, working on it. This is something I have to fix because CIA should be its own with each individual attribute, like the confidentiality, then the core definition, the real world scenario, the exam need to know. So each one of these should be individually broken up. DAD should be individually broken up. It tied them together with the real world scenario. So currently troubleshooting on number 10. A AAA framework should also be broken up. So just working on that. But right now we are going through and kind of addressing the quiz structure. I changed the way the quiz opens. So this is now my new instruction. So when you take the exam, it's not giving you the answers right away. I feel like this is a better structure for the exam instead of that click with the instant feedback. The instant feedback was good. I'm not going to complain too much about that because then you scroll to the next one. But what kept happening was when you click next, it would skip one of the questions. And sometimes it'll skip 2 or 3, and it looked like it was a logic issue with the AI I'm using. So to eliminate that, I changed the way that the structure loads. So now you kind of come here. Originally, I was giving instant feedback, but I decided to switch it because it didn't look clean. So this is version 10. So now when we submit assessment, we get so this is also a feature added. There's no skip. All questions must be answered or it won't submit. So look at that. So I didn't click 2 of them. Okay. So now all questions must be answered before submit will actually take. You still get your, yes, this is the right answer, and no, this is the wrong answer. So this is why the answer is wrong. And of course, the gist of why it's right in there. There we go, correct. So I got the correct answer. This is why the answer is correct. And it's like, hey, this is why your answer is wrong. With the feedback score, 14 of these responses will be now logged into my error file, meaning that at the assessment quiz, at the end, it's going to look back, supposedly, if it works properly, look back at the 14 that I got wrong, as well as everything else. Find the common information that I've been getting wrong and give me a full comprehensive training and review on that material. Here's what you've been getting wrong as you've been doing your assessments over time. Now, I can come back again and I can go, hey, let's do this quiz again. Let's begin mastery a second time. Now, what happened, I did back-to-back mastery, and you could see it's not initiating this. Well, it's not initiating this session because I'm in this session. Actually, that's my fault. But that's the session. So I'm doing mastery again. Let's begin mastery. What it was doing was reopening the old exam. So that's not what we wanted to do. So This is where I'm saying I'm feeding my fish. Essentially, I knew what the problem was. Of course, I need AI because it needs to write it in a way that AI understands, because I'm writing it in the way that I understand. But I want to create a rule where Let's Begin Mastery Quiz question is never repeated. Now, that rule was in the notations, but for some reason, the way I wrote it wasn't acknowledged. So every time the quiz begins, a new set of questions must be generated. Also, I want to have the user to have access to their old quiz history so they can go back in the chat. You know, it's tokens a lot because it's all memory based. And if you exceed the memories, you're not going to be able to see the oldest one. So if you're on number 20 and you took 50 quizzes, you might not be able to see your first quiz, which is fine. Acknowledgeable. You can then go, let's begin session 1 if you just want to go back and do a refresher for session 1. So you can yourself jump back, but it will keep a token history as the memory allows. So and the video quizzes, answers, questions, scores for your review. It's tracking this on a log file. So it's not really holding your session 1 quiz history. It's saying in this log, this user is getting this type of question wrong. So a little less of the individual answers, more of the structure. They don't understand gap analysis. They're weak when it comes to intrusion detection. So it's just keeping like a little token history of what's going on. So this was my original statement. So my quiz repetition rule: every time user initiates the quiz, I should have put an A, so that's my fault. Dynamic new questions must be created for the session that quiz is being applied to. Now, it could have been the way I worded this, why it didn't work, which is why I'm putting it here to troubleshoot. This new generation of question applies to the 20 questions being created. Now, I realized that when I put the sessions the first time around, it only applied to the 11 questions from that session and would repeat the 9 review questions. So I knew I specifically had to mention all 20 questions, quiz questions, are going to be the ones that we are going to create for a new dynamic question quiz. So additional users should be able to go back and review the answers from previous quizzes. If the user does back-to-back mastery for that session, they should see the new and old mastery quizzes answers with scores. So in my head, that makes sense to me. AI logic, it's not getting that because it's super particular. So this is where feeding the fish comes in, because I'm getting that my prompts are, I want to merge documents. And to me, that sounds like I take document 1, take document 2, put them together. However, AI summarizes. So document 1 could be 3,000 pages, document 2 could be 1,000. When AI merges it, it's 1,500 for both. And you're like, a lot of information was lost. So now you have to kind of say document 1 is immutable, merge with contents from document 2. So we'll keep the 3,000 and we'll never go less than 3,000. And immutable is not really a word I typically use. So I had to learn that AI construct for language. Or hey, this document 1's 3,000. Merge with document 2, merger cannot be less than 3,000 words. So that's another one, but immutable is a lot better because then it will keep all of document 1 and just bring in nuances from document 2. And I think that's a lot better. So just learning the AI verbiage is one of those feeding the fish moments, because you need to know what kind of food it eats. And this is me troubleshooting. So my proposed statement does capture the exact operational logic required. However, that's always it, right? To ensure the AI executes this flawlessly within the technical constraints of the chat environment, the instructions need to be translated into a precise technical directive. Essentially what I just kind of said. I need to speak its language, not my own. I know what I'm trying to say, but it doesn't fully understand. hey, teach me how to do this. And it's like, here you go. And it's like, you didn't teach me. And it's like, that's what you asked. And I need to be a little bit more specific. So to maintain the chat history of previous quizzes, the AI must be explicitly instructed to generate a new unique file for every attempt. Otherwise, it may simply overwrite the existing code block, which is kind of what it did. It just reused the existing code block that was there before. So it pulled up the old quiz as unanswered questions. So it's letting me retake the old quiz again, which is not what I want, because I don't want a situation where I'm just memorizing because I'm seeing those same test questions again. I want to be re-asked the same construct of questions in that session, but in a new way. So it's more of a learning phase versus a memorization phase. So it kind of redefined it. So this one sounds a lot better. Every time the user initiates a mastery question assessment, you must dynamically generate an entirely new set of 20 scenario-based questions specific to the current session. So almost close. I knew the word was dynamic. So I was very close there. You are strictly prohibited from reusing questions from previous attempts. See, this one was a line that I missed. Furthermore, to ensure the user retains access to the historical performance data, you must generate each new quiz using a uniquely incremented file path, such as quiz. Okay, so they gave you a naming scheme for each. This technical requirement guarantees all previous assessments, including the specific questions, detailed explanation, and final scores, remain perfectly accessible for review within the chat history. So this is now going to be my new quiz repetition rule. So definitely a lot cleaner than what I wrote. And to all the English majors out there, I got an A in English, but it definitely wasn't a high A. So I speak well. I don't write well, unfortunately. And sometimes I don't even speak well. So very close to kind of mimicking what I thought the language needed to be. But yeah, this right here, uniquely incremented file path, the naming scheme, that I would have never thought about telling it to do that for each quiz. So that's really good to know. So yeah, this will maintain the tone of your original prompt and provides the exact mechanism the AI needs to preserve the historical data I requested. So I'm going to go ahead and update this initiative. I'm then going to go back and I need to separate these. On top of that, I just realized, no, it didn't. So this was added, the acronym reference. So any acronym that's used is going to break it down, just a definition, a quick refresher at the end of every section. So if there's 50 acronyms in here, this acronym refresher list will essentially have 50 acronyms. I'll pull them out of those core definitions. So the exam needs to know, this is the first mention of PKI. Was that the first? Yeah, that's the first mention of PKI. So all the first mentions of the initials of the acronyms are bolded. So now it's like, okay, you should have defined PKI, which it does. Systematic encryptions. Okay. So yeah, it should have defined TKI and PKI. Now it does. So this acronym list is working, but I think it's still trying to summarize. So I need to go back and kind of do the same thing. Feed it my prompt and let it tell me exactly what it should have in order to ensure that it does this separation. So this is going to be a fun little workaround, but this is troubleshooting. This is essentially feeding the fish. I'm doing this for all sections. So it's not, I'm using AI, but I'm not just going, hey, write this program for me and walking away. Every single section, all the lesson plans, the core plans, the definitions, the structure, all of it is being put together by me with the use of AI, which is great because it's AI. It's supposed to be smarter than me, but I'm using AI to teach me how to use AI. so that I could be successful. And this is where we're at. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this. I'm gonna update this to be version 12 actually, because there is a version 11. Version 11, I put so much detail into that writing that it technically wasn't called version 11. It was like just named, just regular named, and I was like, oh shit. Let me name this something so I can kind of keep it separate so I don't mix it in. And at the time I just did 10, so I just renamed it 11. But it would have been like a 2 or 3, something like that. But it had so much into it that the computer, the token memory, it was maxed and failed to load. It would load halfway through. So I kind of had to dial back some of what I wanted to do simply because it couldn't keep up within the chat log. So this will be version 12. I should name it 13 just for bad luck. Version 11 to 13, and then make this 11. I think I'm going to do that just for, 13 is rarely ever used. That's bad luck. And then we're going to go back and we're going to fix this, which will be version 12. And hopefully, I think that should be it. Everything's looking great. I'm happy with the format, the layout. This just needs to be wackadoodled a little bit, but overall, it's coming along. So the final product will be available soon, and we'll go from there.